Come into pure heart, mind emptied of all negative thoughts, wayward frequencies, conflicting ideals. From the very last set of the double kettlebell ass to grass squat, put the 2 kettlebells down, still catching my breath, sitting down here to speak to you straight from the heart, straight from the spirit, straight from the soul, because I'm connected to that frequency, connected to that transmission, in sync with the signal that I have been blessed with, that we all have been blessed with, should we decide to turn the dial to that channel and receive the 365, 24/7, 50,000 watts of powered transmission of the Word, so that we come to see, come to know, come to perceive the way, the truth, and the life. Man, nothing like getting up early and then getting in that work, getting in those reps, getting in that training, strengthening the temple. And as you're doing so, getting in the zone, getting in flow state, having those visions, having those epiphanies, having those revelations, seeing what we see when we're connected to Yahuwah, the Most High, and Yahusha, the Most High, manifested in the flesh as our salvation. Yahusha, Yah the Most High, meaning of the name. Yah the Most High. Shah, salvation. Yahusha, the Most High who redeems. You know, we're all looking for a manual on how to live life. We're all looking for a blueprint, a plan, a guidebook, a strategy, principles. And I'm no different. I'm always intrigued and interested and compelled to hear the insights, the advice, the experiences of others. And the more I hear over my decades and decades and decades, although I look amazingly young, I'm almost 6 decades on this planet, although I have a youthful, vibrant, robust vigor to my countenance. I'm approaching the big 6-0. Still got a couple of years left. But the more I hear, the more I research, the more I listen, the more I read, the more conversations I have, the more I come to realize that it is all self-evident and that we've been given a blueprint. It's our birthright. It's etched in our DNA. We've been given a plan. We know what is right and what is wrong. We have an operating manual. Should we decide to open our minds to it and turn the pages, that's another story. But every single one of us, except maybe a few damaged people, heaven forbid, you know someone who doesn't have what most of us have the privilege to own, and that is a mind that we have some control over. There are psychopaths, there are sociopaths out there, and there are people that are struggling, for sure. But even those who are struggling, even those who are in deep despair, deep sorrow, deep depression, anxious and frustrated, angry, jealous, envious, and all the worst of human emotions and wallowing in their negativity, unless you are deeply, deeply fractured and injured psychologically to the tune of a psychopath. But you see, here's the thing, even a psychopath knows right from wrong. They just choose to ignore it. And a sociopath is one who knows right from wrong just can't control their impulses. They have no control over their actions. So for the most part, almost everybody, again, there are exceptions, and heaven forbid you know one of these people. We should have mercy, and we should feel deep regret and sorrow, and pray for people who are not blessed with the privilege of having a sound mind to the degree that they still know right from wrong. What they decide to do with it is another story, but nevertheless, almost all of us, the by and large percentage, have an operating manual, a built-in guidebook, a plan, and a set of instructions for how to operate in this illusion, in this mirage we call life. The question is whether or not we want to accept it. Are we willing to listen to our heart? Are we willing to listen to what's ringing and resonating in our soul? Are we willing to hear what our conscience has to tell us and has to say? Because therein lies all the values, all the principles, all the axioms, all the maxims, all of the most important elements of life we need to stay true to. All the elements of what make, all the factors of what make, all the qualities and traits of what make a solid character. All of the elements that make a sound and strong and robust temple. All that allow us to have a free-thinking, creative, and innovative, vibrant, and robust mind. And no matter how much you may deny it to yourself, no matter how much you want to turn your back on it, all that want to listen to what leads to that spiritual, soulful connection with Yahuwah, Yahusha the Most High. We have a gene. I've said it before. You can look it up. You can research. There's a gene. We all have it. Well, most of us. In fact, we should all have it. It's a question of whether it's switched on in all of us. That's epigenetics, based on our environment, our actions, how we live our life, our own personal circumstances. Our genes turn on and off. But we have a worship gene. We have a gene that connects us straight to the supreme Elohim. And if we experience the epigenetic trigger, that Damascene moment, that Saul of Tarsus on the road to Damascus, where he becomes Paul and is blinded by the light of Yahusha, who calls out to him, the Son of the Most High, manifested in the flesh as Hamashiach, comes to him. Saul of Tarsus, one of the most dedicated persecutors of the followers of the way, the followers of Yahusha, chasing them to the ends of the earth to persecute them. And on his way to Damascus, Yahusha blinds him with the light, such that he truly sees, but he no longer sees the illusion, but now he sees the light of this world for that which Yahusha is, such that the darkness cannot overcome it, the darkness cannot fathom it, the darkness cannot comprehend it. And Yahusha says to him, Saul, why do you persecute my people? Why do you persecute my sheep? Why do you persecute my children? And from that moment, Saul becomes Paul, the most dedicated of his disciples, of his apostles, and of which much of the New Testament is written by and features the letters of Paul, the teachings of Paul. Great philosophical mind, great spiritual leader, and a great conduit to the ideals of Yahuwah, Yahusha. But if we too want to see that light, we too want to be connected, it's already built in. It's already built in. Again, are we willing to listen to our conscience? Are we willing to listen to our heart? Because it's ringing, it's calling you, it's telling you what's right and what's wrong. Again, as I said, we all want a blueprint handed to us. We all want a set of instructions. We all want the plan and the guidebook. We want to buy it. We want to read it. We want to research it. We want to make a resolution that will follow it. And again, I'm no different. As I said, I love listening to educational, knowledge-bringing podcasts and interviews and books, and I'm always looking to elevate my mindset. But again, everything I read, everything I hear, everything that I see, ultimately, I realize and I know these are things that are self-evident. I know them here internally to be true. And it's just a matter of, are we willing to open up our hearts? And listen, if I never heard another thing again, and I never heard anything, I would know simply having decided to listen to my conscience when it tells me, Lawrence, take that road, not that road. Lawrence, you should be doing this, not that. Lawrence, let's go. Take action, move, groove, strike while the iron is hot. Stay dedicated, stay true, stay committed, stay justified, stay righteous, have self-control, be meek, not as in being weak, meek as in being strong, such that you can guard your passions from getting out of control. We all know these things. We are born with the way and the will to find what Yahusha has implanted in every one of us. Are we willing to turn the switch on is the question. Because if you are, all the answers lay before you. All the roads lead to one, and that takes you on the path. It's the narrow path. It's the path that's hard to follow but easy when you finally surrender to Yahusha and ask Him to flood you with the breath of Yahuwah, to flood you with that fire that obliterates all darkness in your heart, all evil, all sin, such that your heart is made true and righteous, and such that you can finally see, as Paul came to see, the narrow path that leads to the narrow gates that leads to the kingdom, the reign of Yahuwah, the reign of the heavens, where there is no more evil or sin, no more pain or suffering, no more war or misery, no more illness or disease, no more murder, no more death, no more decadence, defilement, depravity, debasement, no more Hashatan, Lucifer, demons, no more Satan, no more corrupters or evildoers, misleaders or deceivers, no more haters, detractors, psychic vampires, or negative influencers. All of it crushed beneath the feet of Yahuwah, Yahusha, manifested in the flesh once again as He returns. And where we can love Him, honor Him, glorify Him, worship and praise Him in a manner that truly pleases Him most, because we are made perfect once again, as we were when we were granted paradise the first time, until we allowed ourselves to be led astray in our hubris, much like Icarus, who flew too close to the sun. We were misled by the serpent to eating the forbidden fruit of the tree of knowledge, such that we knew good and evil, and we were forced to wander the earth. And then upon Cain's murder of his productive, prosperous, wholesome brother Abel, cast out. No longer should the land yield its fruit, such that we then, in our misguided attempt to once again bend this illusion to our will, to once again eat of the fruits, not the first fruits of the resurrection of Yahusha, but no, our own man-made first fruits, such that we would make this world yield its treasures to us, the treasures of the flesh, the worst treasures, the poison chalice, such that we would drink of decadence, defilement, depravity, and debasement. If the land could no longer yield its fruits to us, then from the sweat of our brow we would make all pleasures manifest through our own control, only to find ourselves bereft, hopeless, frustrated, anxious, sorrowful, depressed, in despair, clawing, scratching, cannibalizing, it never being enough, always seeking more, longing, thirsting once again for what we originally had, and in Yahuwah, Yahusha, finally having the ability, finally having the way, finally having the truth and the life and the light to get back to our birthright. You want to know how to live your life? You want to know how to achieve, to succeed, to accomplish? You want to know how to be truly fulfilled? You want to know how to truly be satisfied? You want to know what true gratefulness and thankfulness is? Surrender to Yahuwah Yahusha. Receive the breath such that it heals your heart and it guides you on that narrow path. Receive the baptism of his fire such that all darkness, all evil, all wayward frequencies and negative charges, all wayward thinking is obliterated and disintegrated, and it dissipates from your life, and you could truly, truly see the zeros and ones. You could see the real behind this false reality, and you could finally start trusting yourself, trusting your conscience, because that is the voice of Yahuwah Yahusha telling you what is right and wrong, and you know it to be true. You've just fooled yourself into believing you could find another way, a man-made way, that you could fashion a God with your hands. You cannot fashion a God with your hands. You can form a deity, an AI technological supremacy that will only leave you further bereft and wandering and longing and hungering and thirsting for the true meaning of life, wondering what your purpose is. It'll never be enough. No matter what we create out of our own hands, it will never, ever, ever equal the way, the truth, and the life. It will be false. It will be a false reality, a false prophet, a false Messiah. Your salvation lies in here. With the breath of Yahuwah, it lies in your heart, because here is where he lives. You just have to start trusting yourself. And you just have to surrender to Yahuwah Yahusha and ask him to show you the way to lead your life in a manner that pleases him most, because when you do so, you're exactly where you need to be. You're exactly where you can serve him best. You're exactly where he needs you most. And you will know what it means to live a life righteous, justified, and true, because you're finally listening to your conscience. You're finally trusting yourself, because your heart is righteous, true, and justified, and you have been baptized by the breath of Yahuwah and the fire of Yahusha, the purification. Such that you know the path. You don't need any external blueprint, no guidebook. You don't need any set of instructions. You already have them. Just trust. Come to Yahuwah Yahusha, and then you can finally trust yourself.